Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here. Give me a few moments and let's see if I'll say anything that's worthwhile. You know, people are a reflection of what they've been exposed to. You know, if you raised in the country, in the countries out there, we open fields, grass, growing, trees, planting, perhaps beans, rice, whatever. A house maybe about a mile away. A store, maybe somewhere in between. A general store. And if you got business out there in the country, then you usually stay around in the country. And so your life is really exposed around the country. You got a church, everybody frequents it. You have little get togethers. Every now and then you go to town to buy something. Now, that's one kind of lifestyle, just a little tidbit off of it. But what about the city life? When you go to the city, everything is different. I mean, everything is different. People do things different. They sit at the table almost different. They just here and there and everywhere. And they see, you can talk about policy. It's seen different from the city than the country. Their needs, their exposures are different. And both are legit. The city needs what the city needs, the country needs what the country needs. But if you're going to try to get something, you got both of you going up there pleading to the master to see if you can get some funding. So you'd either need to have one heck of a story and people who just open to it, or you got this place stacked, somebody who's favorable to your position. And that doesn't work for the other side. And if you can do that on one side, you can do it on the other side as well. And so you got the people always caught up in some old stuff. And they say that's really one of the reasons why the world exists. It gives the people a chance to make some choices about life itself. If they were structuring life, what it would be like. You think about the problems in the world. Sometimes it has to do with race. Most of the time it has to do with power. It has to do with money. You see, the way to peace, we talk about this one man having all of its needs met. Probably could get a chair and sit in a spot and wouldn't have to go too far and be satisfied. Stretch that out, things change. Stretch that out, things change. The thing that changes, there's more space. There's more to get off into. But the basics for life and living, they don't change. They remain the same. The same thing that made this man step out 1 inch from that one spot that he was in is now the same thing that caused that man to go to the other end of the earth. Now, when we talk about life like that, we're talking about structure. We're talking about the power of what is perfect, what is right. So it was designed that humans, I'm telling you this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you've heard. I have no idea. I know you haven't heard the truth. You haven't heard anything that works toward the truth, because we're so far from it. Well, metamorphically speaking, that sounds like metamorphically. Tongue got twisted there. Anyway, I want you to think about that one person being satisfied in life. Now 8 billion practicing that same principle are satisfied in life. But somewhere down the line, one changes his mind. And what was wonderful at one time now is just distasteful. And the only thing that seems to satisfy is to see all of those other people who are now laughing and scanning and grinning and having fun. See them going through some pain and suffering. The smiles come off their face. They go somewhere and sit down. You know, all of a sudden you just become resentful. And you start carrying yourself that way amongst people. First, people just reject you, don't have anything to do with you. But if you are alpha a person, you're not going to give up. And so the next thing you're going to know is that you got a few people that's close around you, been around you a little bit longer, buying into what you're saying and agreeing with you. Now you got a little group. And the next thing you know, that group is spreading. That group is spreading. So what was once a beautiful society at one time has now been invaded with a cancer. And that cancer is spreading unless you get that cancer out. That means find out what's the motivation behind this is. If it's just greed, you just can't stand it, you want to be boss. Let everybody know that you just want to be boss. And if he is given this authority to be boss, hell will happen. Hell will happen. And so you go from day to day, lifting up that wonderfulness of life. Day to day. And if that person wants to go day to day trying to rob you of your joy, let him. Can he? That depends upon you. Who are you? Who are you? If you're real, that cancer has nowhere to attach. But if you're playing games, that cancer say, oh, I can stick around here a little while. Probably get him. Yeah, I probably get him. I'll probably get her. And see, this is the world we're living in. You heard that to say that the road that leads to destruction was broad. I mean, billions of people that the road that leads to destruction, leading to lie. So rather than having that urge for life with that power of unity, now yours of that greed, of that anger. And so you have just grown and grown and grown, and all of a sudden you've taken over, killing the body. Because the body having been defeated like this. And so now you got billions on that path. But they tell me the road that leads to life is a straight and narrow. You're sticking to the guns. You're sticking to the truth. You're not being swayed because, oh, well, everybody over here, I don't want to be able to stand over there by myself. Look at all those people. They got to be right. No, they got to be wrong. Why? Because there's pain and suffering everywhere, and they don't care. So they got to be wrong. They can't know the answer. They can't fix it. Nothing that they're doing is fixing it. And what they are stopping from happening will fix it just like that. So stay on the straight and narrow. All of us in the country, United States of America, we are who we are. And we've had some strange teachings. But I want you to know that I don't care what kind of teaching we've had. Some of us, well, all of us feel good about ours because we think that we have the best. But having the best as you may, like you say, you got the strongest country. Like you say, you got the most powerful country, economically and militarily. As you say, you got the most religious, God-fearing country. As you say, you got the best healthcare system. As you say, you got the best education system. I mean, other people disagree. Statistics can verify this a lie, but that's what you want to present. And people keep hearing and believing it. Americans believe that when they compare it to other parts of the world. Preachers, I'm asking them, why you keep telling the folks that there's something so wonderful after they die if they don't rock the boat over here? Why do you keep telling people that? Let me tell you something. Why are you in the pulpit? Look, people begged me when I was a young man, go get the pulpit, get your church. I'm like, what do you mean getting me a church for? The world and the country is full of churches, and they're doing nothing. If I go start a church, what separates me from all other churches? Because I'm telling the truth? Nobody want to hear that. Nobody's going to even believe that I'm telling the truth. Why? Because the churches have a reputation of bull jiving. Nobody want to hear that stuff. People talk about the church doing it. Why the church doing it? And some people, it's on the internet. No, it's not on the internet. It's that you crooked Christians, you hypocritical people say you know God. You have no idea what God is. And as the world come in, new children, and all this, they see this. They see that stuff ain't nothing but talk. It might have gotten you through hard times. It ain't doing nothing for them. God, to them, based upon you and your presentation, is irrelevant. Look at the pain and suffering. Look at the hate. Look at the racism. Look at the bigotry. And you sitting there going along with it. Now, nobody out there, as I've seen it, has dedicated and committed themselves to get rid of it for everybody. Now, I know Republicans got, basically the worst. And the Democrats, not as bad as the Republicans. But hell, they ain't trying to get rid of it. So if you're worth anything, you're trying to get rid of it. You're trying to get rid of it. Hatred, racism, you're getting rid of it. Poverty, you're getting rid of it. Pain and suffering, you're getting rid of it. Why? Because that's what you're made of. Come on, folks. How come y'all trying to be like Trump? Why not be like Jesus, whether he's black or white? And I'm not talking about the one that's trying to stick bones in your ears. I'm talking about the one that's freeing you. Every day I wake up, I'm an older guy now. It almost seems like we're closer to the end of time. I guess it must feel that way for all older people. Because if the world isn't getting ready to end, we as individuals are. And there's no doubt about that. But how are we prepared for this? Are we happy? Let me tell you something about me. I have no fear of dying. I know I'm going to die. But my fear is, have I accomplished anything while I was here? Oh man, when I was a young man, I was foolish, just like most young people. Some of them not. But most young people just as foolish as they can be. And I'm no different. I was no different. But life has taught me. And I know to make a change. And to me, the changes, if they could have existed in the beginning of time, what a world this would be. But be that as it may, it is still real. And it can be just as effective today if we would. But how can we when we got nobody to lead us? And what I'm trying to tell you, you're not going to get anybody to lead you. You need you, filled with the spirit of that which is good, of that which is righteous, of that which is loving. That's God. Not Trump and people like Trump, or white people, or black people. No matter who the mother of the race is, it doesn't matter. The obligation and responsibility is still the same. If you were a white person that introduced the human spirit, human race, your responsibilities are right there. And if you happen to have been a black one, it's the same thing. The same identical stuff. And now you want to blame. Well, no, it's not about blaming. It's you. That's the key. You can't blame anyone. It is all about you. Now, I think it's about time for me to close down. Every now and then you get signs. These signs teach you the moves that you must make. And I'm pretty well versed on mine. So I want to say thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Until next, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.